Guys, it is Adam and K Marf, and today's show is going to be packed. We have everything that is going on in the last 48 hours coming to you right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. So remember, you can always go get notifications over on our website, marfooglenews.com. We have just an absolute load of news today because, of course, now is Monday. So everything over the weekend we're going to be going over, plus much, much more. Remember, you can actually follow along on a second device over on a different, over on marfooglenews.com. Now, once you go there, you'll see that it is all organized by thumbnail. So you'll look for today's thumbnail. They are done preparing, and that is, of course, in reference to the Spratly Islands. For years, I have actually talked about the Spratly Islands since the very first digger was out there digging up the bottom of the ocean and creating these artificial islands. These islands are not an exact midpoint, but if you know about history, one of the geographical kind of barriers that China had for invading the U.S. was that it was so far away. You would need some sort of refueling port in the middle or in a midpoint. Now, we have Guam, we have all these different places around the world that we can actually pretty much go anywhere. China did not have that for a lot of years. Now China has expanded. They have now started trading with more of the world than the U.S. They have now a just gigantic, enormous amount of money. Their GDP now, they are in the top 3 as far as GDP. They are now the largest navy in the world, which who knows how that got happen. So remember, over on the website, when you go here, you will actually see every single article, tweet, video, picture, article, everything that we share here before your eyes here is going to be over on the website. There's also going to be a big yellow bar. Once you hit that, that is our web-only content. That is the stuff that is too hot for TV or that is essentially too far to one direction for us to cover while staying neutral. We welcome everybody here. Only no drama. That's the only thing we don't allow here. And don't talk badly about other people. And that's pretty much the easiest way to put it. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on today, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
Welcome, Angela Taylor Auctioneer, Bernie Sully, Timbo 749, Adita Saxena, and Adam Pash. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and welcome to the crew. All right, and then to get right into it, they spent years caring for their veterans. Now they are losing a lifeline. This is out of military.com. It says the 36-year-old Afghanistan war veteran can't be left alone with his kids because his hallucinations and outbursts make him a danger to himself and others. He must be handed his medication or he'll forget to take them. He doesn't drive or work. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Or manage his finances, having once spent thousands of dollars in a wild shopping spree while experiencing mania. Still, the former Army sergeant has not been hospitalized for mental health issues in nearly 5 years, an achievement he and his wife attribute to the providing around-the-clock care for him, supported by the Department of Veterans Affairs program and the Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers. In addition to providing health care coverage and community support, the program pays a veteran a stipend that allows the wife to care for him instead of hiring a home health aide. But in the past month, the couple who live in South Carolina and requested anonymity so they could speak freely about their situation due to concerns about retaliation from their VA caseworkers learned that they no longer qualify for the benefit. It says they are not alone, with the VA conducting reviews to ensure that the participants meet new eligibility requirements introduced last year. As many as 6,000 people may find this month that they no longer will receive the caretaker support some have relied on for years as they manage the residual wounds of a conflict that continue to shape their lives. So, Dex, I already know what you thought when you saw this. It's like, first of all, we just ripped people out of that country, and now we are ripping away support for the veterans that were already home, that already had the damage done, that, absolutely need support, for the rest of their lives for the time that they served for their country. What do you think, Dex?
Well, yeah, this is kind of a very unfortunate situation, and I think it's something that probably needs a little attention because it's one of those things that is obviously helping our beloved veterans, so to speak, in the sense that they have this or have had this opportunity to have this home care as opposed to not having it, which I guess it's maybe cheaper if it's elsewhere, but it makes a lot of sense what they've been doing. And for them to rip it out, I think we're going to see a lot of our vets, specifically the ones that have been in harm's way and have had, detrimental effects to their lives and their loved ones around them, suffer over this. So it's one of those things that doesn't get a lot of attention in the news. I'm glad there was an article or two written about this, but I thought it's something that we definitely should shine a light on.
And locally, wherever you are, you can research the appropriate venues to contact. You can always write a letter and say, "Hey, we wish to your local legislature and to your local Congress and whoever else you want to write it to, write and tell them that you want to support your veterans." And to your representatives there, you can always say, "Hey, these people are getting forgot. We do notice this change," and then that in turn will help. So we have a lot of veterans here in the Foogle fam. So again, I hope that if any of you were affected directly by this, let us know. I would love to interview you. And then we have U.S. egg prices rise, which we, of course, called 2 months in advance because of all of these significant bird, I guess you would call colds, right? The influenza is threatening to pinch supplies right before the egg-centric holiday. So right before Easter, they're saying that eggs are just going to jump up in price. Now, as you know, a lot of places in the world right now, because of the different shortages and supply shortages, eggs were all they got. Now, eggs are actually going to shoot up in price, which this is now on top of the 50 different things we have covered that have all jumped up as well. These are essential in some houses. Again, there's some people that have eggs every single day or for breakfast, and this is something that obviously packs a punch when it comes to anybody that is not in the elites and can just afford any kind of price change. This is, again, something due to the highly pathogenic is back in the U.S., forcing farmers to cull flocks and pushing up egg prices at a time of rampant food inflation. Now, some even believe that some of this is even somewhat purposeful. What is your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. And then, of course, President B uses the call with Xi to lay out consequences for if it supports attack on Ukraine. So, first of all, we know that we called months ago, same with the rest of the Foogle fam. Dex, you and I talked about this a while back as far as we were saying that somehow China is going to get wrangled into this, and now this is just the beginning. I feel like in the next 4 weeks, we are going to see them slowly, all of a sudden, get fully involved, and then, of course, what is going to happen next? Are we going to be sanctioning China? I mean, it looks like that's where we're headed.
Yeah, and yeah, it doesn't make much sense that we think we can actually wave, a stick at China and actually get somewhere. But apparently we're laying it down. I don't know if they're going to actually buy it, so to speak, right? The fact that, I would expect them to have the conversation. I would expect us to have that position and say, hey, you're not going to do this. Or we don't expect you to do that. And if you do it, we're going to have consequences, and it's going to be X, Y, and Z. But it will surprise me if China actually sides, or I expect them to either remain neutral or side with the bear, so to speak, right? I would be really shocked if they actually side with us.
So, and that's all publicly. I think that, of course, the dragon over there in the east is behind almost all of this. I think that a lot of the things that have happened slowly over the years, and we saw the little moves, and we saw all of the financial decisions that they made. We saw that different political arenas were just slowly kind of ingrained. We saw that Hollywood was slowly bought by a certain group of people. We saw that, of course, housing and land was slowly bought up. And it's pretty incredible the amount of money that China has amassed. It says that President JB sought to use a 110-minute video call on Friday to dissuade his counterpart from assisting Russia in its grinding or with cranium, a pivotal moment that could determine the trajectory of a conflict. Now, President B described the implications and consequences if provides material support to Russia in his call with President Xi Jinping. It says the White House says, the president underscored his support for a diplomatic resolution to the crisis. So whether you believe it or not, it shows that the public is bringing it in, and they are bringing everyone, as far as mainstream, is now bringing in the fact that China is going to be involved, or they are saying that they don't want them involved, at the same time as saying that there is a high risk for a cyber attack. We'll talk about the cyber attacks later, but again, that's something that they are heavily putting in the back of our heads. So this is just one more sign, and it happens in these little baby steps, and then it will go forward and forward and forward. And then China Eastern Airlines crash, shocking moment. Boeing 737 with 132 on board nosedives vertically into a mountain at 400 miles per hour. Now, a lot of people are questioning this because of how it crashed, and people said that this was just not how planes crash. And the reason why is it just went vertically down. It didn't glide. It didn't do anything. It just went bam, straight down. It says this is the shocking moment a passenger plane carrying 132 nosedives vertically into a mountain at 400 miles per hour. There, of course, is horrifying footage, which we attached over on our website, shows the Boeing 737 plummeting to the ground after falling 29,100 feet in a minute and a half. So it was basically going full speed into the ground, almost like somebody was controlling it and pushing it down. Now, on prior instances of this, I did hear that in 1998 or 99, there was a plane that did the same thing, and that was because the pilot had a heart attack. They couldn't overdo, they couldn't kick out. There was some sort of error with the plane, and they could not turn on autopilot to turn off his side of the controls, and it just nosedived. So I'm assuming that we'll want to wait until everything comes out on this to see what happened, but it does look a little bit fishy. That's why I'm sure there's going to be a full-scale investigation. Irish Rebel, thank you for your early support for the show. Thank you so much, everybody that supports the show. We appreciate it. Again, not required, but very, very appreciated. By the way, lots of really awesome people stopped in last time. Bobby of Joy, Ariel the Wrestling Mermaid, James Fox, MD, and Stephen McMahon. Thank you for being the last ones out on the last show. Also, I wanted to just say a special thank you to everybody out there. Gone Girl, Catherine Hope, the Coach MG, and of course Craig Alicious from Australia. Thank you. Says, keep your own chickens. They're amazing. Free eggs and fertilizer. So we actually have a lot of friends that have chickens now. Don't know how, just ended up over the last few years. And it's weird because in Seattle, it's much more rare, but we just ended up meeting a circle of friends that all have chickens. Our friend Lloyd and his wife, they have, I think, 4 or 5 chickens, but the eggs that they give us are the best eggs in the world. So if you've never had actual I guess, homemade eggs or right from the chicken, then you haven't had eggs. Catherine Hope says, thank you and Dex for all the work you do every day to bring us the news and may never hear anywhere else. Well, thank you, Catherine Hope, and I hope you are going over to marfooglenews.com as well. The Coach MG, thank you for the super sticker, and then again, thank you to Yellow Brick Road, Laguna Berry, and Carol McLean. Everybody over on DLive, thanks for popping in. It looks like everybody is continuing to pile in, so thank you very much, everybody that's popped up over there. And then it looks like, let's see here. Can't see you guys, you're too small. King5583, Cat's Meow, Chance Paladin, thank you for modding over there. Janet, K00, and C22, thanks for following. And KBC5C, thanks for following over there. Vicky K, and Irish American Patriot, thank you. Stormblade, thanks for gifting out badges. Thank you so much. Vicky K, appreciate you guys. What do you guys think about the plane crash? Let me know in the comments down below. And then AP exclusive U.S. Admiral says China fully militarized Isles. So before we talk about that, I do want to remind you right now, if you have not already, we have talked about some of the cyber events that they are talking about. I would highly recommend going over and checking out EMP Shield. I think that it's getting more important that more people know about the risks that are actually involved. I think that this will eventually save lives, and I do think that it is a serious risk that we all run, and pretty much our entire prepper community has already done this. So if you don't know what an EMP Shield is, make sure to go to their website, but more so, definitely go over and try to get one for free. There's a contest running right now, and I believe we got a third of the people to actually go and try for it. Maybe it's because everybody thinks that they're not lucky enough, but that means it's even more possible for you to win one. These are not cheap. These are handmade machines, and again, this is all handmade, American-made. Every single part in it is from America. Again, not even the little cords or brackets. Everything is made here, and it can protect you against EMP, all three phases, and a CME, which is, again, this is the same company that has helped protect agencies like DOD, DHS, and now the DEMSO team. So if you want the same protection that they're loading themselves up with and quietly doing in the background, then you can do so. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. That's, again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. And then go to our website, marfooglenews.com, if you would like to fill out the form to join the contest. Now, the contest, the winner gets to pick whichever device they would like, and that's, again, something that was done between 4 or 5 channels, and they're still having low turn-in. So, again, if you want to win, your chances are way better this time than any other time before. Again, that's marfooglenews.com. If you want to fill out at the very bottom of tonight's show, you'll see an entrance. And then, of course, if you would like to purchase one, well, one for your generator, your house, or anything else, go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. That not only helps out the show, but it gets you a $50 discount on each device. So we've talked about this, and I've told you guys my gut feeling on this, and ever since the very beginning, if you go back through my shows of when I was doing videos out of my car and on my break, in the break room, I was talking about the Spratly Islands and how it right away, before they ever knew it was going to be militarized, there was a debate, there was an argument. Dex, I don't know if you remember this, but maybe it was even before you joined up or when you first started with me. There was a debate if it was going to be militarized. Now, we know for a fact, I mean, for the last year, they've been piling it with fuel. They've made basically airports. They have anti-air missiles. They have SAM. They have all sorts of stuff on there, including tanks, and then, of course, docks for all of their ships to refuel. So it's kind of like, we saw this coming a million miles away, and now that it's happening, I think that everybody else is going to catch up.
Yeah, it was certainly something they were trying to, at the beginning, at least be a little coy about what they were doing, right? They're like, oh, don't worry, there's nothing to see here. We're just, building, commercial land, right? So to speak. But yeah, now it's been clear. We've been calling it all this time, but yeah, it's obviously clear now that it is absolutely militarized.
And so the one thing that came from the Foogle fam, and I can't confirm this, but was somebody sent us a message saying that they were loading it up with fuel, and they were people that track the cargo ships, and they said that multiple fuel cargo ships went to the Spratly Islands and then stopped for like 2 or 3 days and then left. That I have not confirmed myself. I don't follow those apps, but I know that many of you do. If you have info on that and you have screenshots of it, or if you are able to go back through the archive and find out if that's true, I would love for you to email me at adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com. What that would mean is that they're loading it up with fuel so then they can use that as a refueling point. As we said before, the U.S. has always had this geographical kind of protection. We have oceans on both sides and a huge distance between us and most of our adversaries. That's why, these different countries have worked with countries like Cuba. They've worked with South America. In fact, when we stopped supporting, randomly, we stopped supporting different countries, all of a sudden, guess who jumped in our place? Was, of course, the Rus and the Chinese. So they all ended up supporting the South American countries that we stopped supporting, and possibly have troops there, have bases, have all sorts of stuff. We do know that, of course, the Dragon has been training up above us. For years they did, before anybody ever noticed. They were training in Canada with their permission, and they even signed basically an agreement that they didn't have to tell locals in Canada when they were putting troops into their country, as long as they were protecting a national interest of theirs. If they purchased land, or if they purchased a building, or if they had anything there, they could essentially go there and not even tell the local police that they were coming. So they have huge swaths of land and buildings and training grounds and all sorts of stuff that is in Canada. And they just a couple of years ago, people started calling it out. People even have videos of course, people seeing the people on the troops on the side of the road. And it looks like the Chickens of Lloyd and his wife just subscribed. Well, thank you so much. Is there 6 of you or 7 of you? Thank you. And then Shotgun the Imperial, thank you so much for subscribing. Natasha French, I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Bernie, I appreciate you as well. And then Timbo, welcome again. It says, over the South China Sea, China has fully militarized at least 3 of the several islands and built in the disputed South China Sea, arming them with anti-ship and anti-aircraft missile systems, laser and jamming equipment, and fighter jets in an increasingly aggressive move that threatens all nations operating nearby. That was what a top U.S. military commander said on Sunday. U.S. Indo-Pacific Commander Admiral John C. Aquilino said that the hostile actions were in a stark contrast to the President Xi Jinping's past assurances that Beijing would not transform the artificial islands into contested waters into military bases. The efforts were part of China's flexing its military muscle, he said. It says, quote, I think over the past 20 years, we've witnessed the largest military buildup since WW2 by the PRC. Aquilino told the Associated Press in an interview using the initials of China's former name. So that's, Dex, why do you think they used, why do you think he used the former name? Do you think he's trying to hint that they're going back to their old ways? Or do you,
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't have a clue on that one.
I don't know if you caught that, but maybe he's purposely saying that they are going back to their old ways. It seems like a lot of the things there we've covered from their actual media. A lot of their media outlets have essentially told their whole country through their mouthpiece that we are the adversary, we are the enemy, we created what happened over the last 3 years, and they said that it's basically time for conflict, that it's time for us to be dethroned. If you don't believe me, you can go to any Chinese media company, the People's Daily, you've got the Global Times, you've got the Szechuan, you have all sorts of outlets that are all getting their people prepared for a conflict. And I don't think it's all just saber rattling, because this is a long game thing that they have prepared for years and years and years. If you have another opinion of it, please let me know. I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. But otherwise, this is my opinion. I think that This is all setting up the same way that they set up, of course, the bear over by Cranium, and it's the same thing. And it's happening in slow-mo, and you can see what's going to happen next. Like I've said before, this is like a bad B movie, and you know that the person is going to run up the stairs instead of out the front door. Dex?
And just a quick clarification, it was formal, not former name. So their formal name, the initials.
Oh, okay. I'm glad that.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what they meant by former, but yeah, formal. No worries.
One thing is the 1979, from when they started opening up capitalism, I guess either way, they're going back to their old ways. They have stripped a lot of their billionaires of different rights. The billionaires that they created by allowing their people to make money, they still kept them restricted the whole time. That if there was a Chinese billionaire, then it wouldn't matter, though. Even however many billions of dollars they made, they still had kind of a restriction as far as what they could do in their own country. That's why you saw those billionaires go outside their country to buy land, to buy property, to buy businesses. That's why you saw these huge influxes in almost every country around the world of land being bought. And as I've said before, they can actually buy an amount of land. If you buy so much land in a country, you can actually gain citizenship. There are some billionaires that I just saw the other day that have as many as 7 different citizenships because they own land in 7 different countries. Australia is a good example. I don't know if they're still doing it. I know that there was a kind of an outrage in NZ and in Australia about how much land they were purchasing, but there were people basically mad because locals couldn't even get properties, whereas people from other countries could not only purchase in and get citizenship for the amount of money they spent, but they were buying up all the land. And that applies to every country, not just them. Any country, say if you're Norwegian and you buy enough land somewhere, then you can get citizenship. I didn't know that until a few years ago, and I think it's pretty insane. Blue Dazzlebug, thank you, Simply Pony. Well, hello there, Mother Fooglers. And then Shogo, thank you so much for subscribing. It says Aquino spoke with the AP on board a U.S. Navy reconnaissance aircraft that flew near the Dragon-held outposts in the South China Sea, Spratly's archipelago. It says one of the most hotly contested regions in the world. During the patrol, the P-8A Poseidon plane was reportedly warned by the Dragon that it illegally entered what they said was the Dragon's territory and ordered the plane to move away. Dragon has sovereignty over the Spratly Islands as well as surrounding maritime areas. Stay away immediately to avoid misjudgment. So even their military has bad translations. We watched this as it first started, even when they were just digging up and piling up dirt. In the ocean, when they first started, they had these special boats that had essentially vacuums. They would suck dirt off of the bottom of the dirt floor, off of the ocean floor, and then they would pile it up into this huge pile. They started basically doing that for months and months and months until they actually had land. And then they started building airways. In the early stages of the Spratly Islands, you could actually see the very, kind of predictive layout of, airways. And everybody called it, and now it is fully militarized. This is not a midpoint exactly, but it is a refueling point for China if they were to ever invade. Now, I hope they never invade, but if you look at what is happening right now, I don't think that most of, current civilization understands that world conflicts are something that can happen. Whether you believe or not that this, whatever the motivation is before your eyes, I do think that there are a lot of scary things being said. If we were to believe any of what is there, you would think even 10% of that truth would be scary. They are saying that we are going to be running out of resources. They're saying that our ozone is depleting. They are saying that we're running out of food, that we're running out of natural resources, that we'll run out of gas by 2060, that we'll run out of oil by 2040 or 2030 even, 2041 or 42. They are saying that we have to do the switch. They say if that our temperature goes up by 3 degrees Celsius or above the 1.5, then by 2060, much of the world will be uninhabitable, and they'll have to put us in these mega city centers. Now, when you actually look at what the big groups that are running the planet, what they are saying that they want to happen is they would like everybody in certain vertical cityscapes. This sounds like something out of a Black Mirror episode, but it's all real. So whether you believe or not what is happening or not happening, I do know that these crazy, weather events are going up. You could say that there's motivations behind that, or manufactured or not. Either way, what we are going to see is more events as far as weather, extreme weather, fire, earthquakes. We will also see extreme flooding. They say by 2030, we'll see extreme and catastrophic flooding, that millions and millions will be displaced because of it. So what they are saying to us, and again, it may be different from what is actually happening, but what they are telling us is that we will have extreme flooding, that the world is going down the drain, and that we have limited time here on Earth. We think in our lifetime, we're like, well, we'll be dead after that. We have children. Our children now will possibly live, most of them will live into 2100. And they're saying by 2100, we will all have to have special masks to breathe. That this is out of a science fiction film. Even though I want to say it was like a Jurassic Park type show that was on Channel 13. If anybody knows what show I'm talking about, they called them rebreathers, and they went back in time to try to fix their mistakes, and they were sending people back in time to the prehistoric age to reset up civilization and then hopefully fix their mistakes, right? Does anybody know what that show is called? It actually had one of the most, besides the time travel, it actually kind of had one of the most realistic futures as far as what matches up with what they say is going to happen, right? So as far as Spratly Islands and everything else, everything that's happening with Russia, there is a possibility that in the last few years of this, people are going to grab as much land as possible and try to kind of hedge their bets of where will be livable and where will not. Think about this. If you have a smaller country, or if you have a country here and you know that most of it is going to be unlivable or uninhabitable, you would want to take land. I'm not saying that that's the motivation behind this, but I'm leaving everything open at this point. Dex, if you have any comments on that, otherwise I will move to the crash.
I think you hit the nail on the head with most of it. So yeah, go ahead.
And then possible crash site identified of Marine MV-22 Osprey that has gone missing in Norway. So Dex, so it goes back to the video of the Norwegian girl. The TikTok video I showed you the other day, this it went viral. It's like over 3 million views now. And the girl was pointing it towards her face. She's in an airport. She's covered up, and she says, does a little asterisk and says, everyone in Norway saying for us not to worry about the conflict with Ukraine and Russia, right? And then it turns to her parents. He said, and then she goes, my divorced parents getting together with 2 days' notice and flying me to Africa. If you've seen that video, we attached it to the other night's. In fact, I think it's Norwegians Are Fleeing is on the thumbnail. If you go to that video, we've attached that video. And what's really crazy is we've had several events happen in Norway recently. And everyone is thinking that the next spot, if Russia goes past Ukraine, it would be Moldova. Moldova, they even put a piece out. I believe it's in here later on. And do we have the Moldova piece here tonight? I believe we do.
I believe we do. If we don't, I'll put it on the website.
Okay. Essentially, Moldova, their president are getting their people ready for them to be next. Some think it's Norway. And I wondered what that girl's parents did and what 2-day notice did they get where this separated couple got together, grabbed their kid, and they look from a affluent family. If you look at all of her previous videos, she's living in a multi-million-dollar house. Basically looks like they're upper class. They fly 2 days notice to Africa. That weirds me out. And for more than one reason, it was just so under the radar. and it very well could have been TikTok that made that go viral. But again, I think that right away when I saw it, it grabbed me. So I'm sure that everybody else that saw that, it grabbed them too. So you never know what is Ganda or what's not. But that one just seemed very, like if you look at all the rest, they all kind of fit the same platform in that she's a normal teenager. But I don't know. Normal teenagers could have more posts than that. She had probably like 20 posts or something. I don't know. Storm Sky 08. So again, this is now the third event in Norway in just a week since we covered that. It says this possible crash happened, and these are huge, crazy vehicles here. The potential site where the MV-22 went down is in high terrain, and rescuers have so far been unable to reach it amid worsening weather conditions. So you've probably seen Ospreys in spy movies and in Bond films. These can actually fly forwards and upwards. They can take off vertically, and then they can fly like a plane, essentially. It says the U.S. Marine Corps MV-22B Osprey tilt rotor has gone missing in northern Norway today, leaving 4 crew members unaccounted for. The aircraft was in Norway for the large-scale cold response exercise during which NATO forces practice their combat skills in demanding cold Norwegian weather conditions. So one other thing is people have said, oh, these NATO drills happen all the time, or they happen every year, and that this was regularly scheduled. They are not always in the same place. In fact, they pick where it is. So I'm just curious, and what do you guys think about this? What do you think about the possibility of this being picked there because they believe, not publicly, they have purposely put out and said, shown pictures of battle maps showing Moldova as the next target. What do you think about Norway being the next target if this is to go as they say it's going to go, right? What about Norway being the next place to take? I don't know. Would it make more sense than Moldova? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Lars Stefan Holmberg. That looks like a Norwegian name. And Harley Berg. Looks like we got some new Norwegians here. Hey, what's going on? And Oofda. Tony, simply thank you so much. Mysteries Mystery School says, for my girl Cece, you are not alone, and you always have an ear to vent and a shoulder to cry on for me forever. Your friend Mystery, thank you for passing along this out. Adam, positive vibes to all. Hey, thank you for using that space for nice and positive language there. And then Stormy Sky 08, thank you for subscribing and welcome all of the new people that just popped in. 5,300 over on YouTube and then several hundred over on DLive. So thank you everybody that has popped in. J-Girl, that's me. Hey, by the way, I did get your email. I don't know if I had time to respond though. I remember you sent a picture, I believe. And then N Times with Triple Z, Marfoogle M, shout out to all there. Much love, everyone. And then Vicky K and Jesse the Kid, West by God, Virginia, and Divine 1122 and Sugar Punch. Thank you, everybody that just popped in. So, again, another event in Norway. We'll be closely watching Norway to see what happens there. And then if you are Norwegian and you have an inside scoop, let us know. You can always contact me through Twitter on my DMs or over on adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com. And then the U.S. can't verify hypersonic missile claim. So if you've been watching, of course, the news, they're saying that UKR got hit with hypersonic missiles. And the first thing that people think of when you think of hypersonic is nukes. And what they've been talking about for years and what their big threats were, of course, they said that they have hypersonic nukes that can hit us in a matter of 7 minutes or something. So as far as this goes, these were not tipped with nuclear, but conventional boom booms. Supposedly, and this is coming from their side, not from our side. Our side is saying that they cannot confirm this. It says the Pentagon is neither confirming nor denying claims made by the Bear that it fired a hypersonic missile at a UKR target over the weekend, a senior U.S. defense official said Monday. We're not able to refute it, but we can't independently confirm it either. It's not entirely clear what what we would access is it's certainly possible. So one thing about the hypersonics is that they are so fast. I don't know if they even have a system to be able to see it unless Starlink has their stuff up yet.
Well, yeah, and they are fast. And the other thing that we have, and you guys can go look at this on your own on our website, and the first thing in web only is going to be the actual video. So we've got the video from the other side, and where they're showing this supposed alleged launch or this missile flying through the air. In the article, it shows the one that they released that is the hit at the location. But there's also another one where it's going through the air, and it, to the eye, it looks really fast. Like I think it's moving extremely fast, but it's always a little subjective when you're dealing with things like that, and how fast the frame rate and the motion really is, and the object that's moving through the sky.
Well, and
but you guys can take a look at that and judge for yourself.
And this is the video of it dropping from the plane, correct?
Well, the one that's on web only is, I don't remember who owned that video, so we weren't going to play it in the show. That's why it's there. It shows the missile going through the sky, so you see the white plume from it as it scorches across the sky in a hurry. And then the one that's in the article is the one that was released from directly from the bear that shows it striking the location, and that was their proof, as they said, "Hey, this is it, and we did it."
Well, we'll follow it closely, or as close as we can follow hypersonics, right? Probably be tailing it pretty far behind. And then the UKR conflict is a backdrop in U.S. push for hypersonic weapons. It says, lagging behind the bear in developing hypersonic weapons, the U.S. Navy is rushing to field its first with installation on a warship starting as soon as late next year. The United States is in a race with and to develop these weapons, which travel at speeds akin to ballistic missiles, but are difficult to shoot down because of their maneuverability. It says that the Bear military says it has already developed hypersonic missiles and claimed Saturday to have used one for the first time in combat against a target in UKR. The Pentagon couldn't confirm the hypersonic weapon was used in the attack. The U.S. weapon would launch like a ballistic missile, then it would release a hypersonic glide vehicle that would reach speeds at 7 to 8 times faster than the speed of sound before hitting its target. So we have seen multiple ways of launching this. The other worry is that the U.S. has put out on our side, China has put out on their side, the Bear has put out on their side, that right now that that test was confirmed, that, of course, the Dragon launched a hypersonic object that then launched another hypersonic object. So imagine you launching a hypersonic object that can then go over a target or go in midpoint and then launch another one that goes hypersonic and hits its target. That test that they did, the Dragon did over in the east, it hit within 20 miles of its target. You say, well, 20 miles is pretty far off. If you're talking about if it was a nuclear tipped with today's technology, 20 miles wouldn't matter. They have, the surrounding area. They can, depending on the size of it, it could be 100 miles wide. I mean, that's what's the. If you talk about if it was as strong as, say, a Satan II missile or something, you would take out a whole state. So that's pretty freaky. Also, it could be used for an EMP. This is why we told everybody about this. If you ever have the situation where you're driving home from work and you realize that the entire city's out, I just think of a good example. If I was on I-5 and I saw all of downtown Seattle just go dark and there was not a single light around and you couldn't see any power anywhere, not even backup like, street lights or anything else, that's when I would head exactly home. And if the cars are all stuck and you're just absolutely stuck there, that's why some people even keep gas-powered scooters or bicycles in their trunks, because if that happens, cars are going to get stuck up and then you would head home. In fact, Dex, you've gone over this with your family recently. We did this in July of last year where we practiced this. You told them that if all the power goes out, that's a huge thing, and you need to just get together with your family like right away.
Yeah, I've kind of told them, to me, I think the trick will be if the power goes out and you have no cell service, right? Usually, like when the storm happens and the power goes out, your cell still works because the towers run on generators, or even if one may be out, you maybe reach the next tower, et cetera. So that was sort of my cue with my family, is like, you'll know it's real when, all the power's out and your cell phone doesn't work, or if you're driving, your car turns off and everyone else's turns off. Of course, if you got, I tell my family, to get EMP Shield, turn your car back on, right? And haul butt, like get away from as many people as you can, head as close to home as you possibly can, ignore all, don't bother with traffic stops or anything like that. Just straight home as fast as possible.
Yeah. Essentially, you told your wife, and you're not supposed to do this normally, but if everything is out, forget about stoplights or blinking lights or whatever. Just get home. So that is something that many of you probably have not thought about. Somebody just emailed me yesterday, I believe it was, and I saw it pop up. They made a comment for everybody to have iodine tablets and things like that. That I want to read their whole piece, but they gave an informational kind of alert and why it is smart to have them on hand. Before we go into Elon Musk's Starlink satellites helping UKR drones destroy Russian tanks, this is something where now Elon Musk has officially taken a side, and this does most likely open him and his company up for retaliation. I do want to remind you, if you do want to get prepped up, you can do it through us at a discount. You can actually get a 3-month supply of long-term survival food for $150 off right now, and help support your favorite channel at the same time. The iodine tablets, any kind of power banks, survival gear, survival books. You won't have Google when all of this goes down. You can get that all there. You can get a water purification system that will work when your water is shut off. You'll be able to use whatever kind of water and filter it out to where it's potable and drinkable. That is why they say 90% of us would perish in the event of a massive EMP, is because we would not have water. That is why most of us, that's what's crazy to me, is if we had some sort of backup plan for whole cities and had local government think about these things and have drinkable water and have filtration systems locally, just like as you would if you were in an area that's going to be hit with missiles all the time, like in the Middle East, they've got air raid sirens that goes off. You would think you would also have something set up as far as some sort of water solution for massive amounts of people and have it spaced out throughout the city, but they don't. So if you want to be able to filter your own water, you can go over and get an Alexa Pure system. All of these are, again, way more affordable than some of their competitors, and you're helping our channel. We are independent. We don't have a multi-channel network. We don't even have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We have you, the Mafia. Again, the Foogle fam helps support this show. Everything that we talk about, regardless of, we basically are to the point where we're just not trying to get kicked off. But again, most of the stuff we talk about is not acceptable. So this is another way that you guys can help, and it's something you're already probably going to do. So again, that's marfooglenews.com/prep. Yeah, you should have done this yesterday in most of our opinion, but if you don't end up doing this, and if you can't afford to get, say, something through My Patriot Supply or someone like them, make sure to have a plan. Make sure to slowly prepare as much as you can with what you are able to do. If you can only afford 1 can of canned food, that is still enough. If you do this over time, and if you've been doing this over the last 2 years, you could have been stockpiled by now. And then let's see here. Yeah, so now Musk, which Starlink satellites, one of the first things they did is they gave them, somebody called out Elon. They said, hey, why aren't you giving Starlink to, UKR? And he said, okay, I will. And of course, if anybody says something to him on Twitter, he has to go, okay, I will. Hey, you've got too much money. Okay, I'll sell my houses. I'm going to tweet him and say, hey, you got too many private jets. You should give one of those to a conspiracy theorist. And then he'll probably go, oh, I'll give my private jet to Marv. Who knows? But again, he did. And once he sent it, now those Starlink satellites are supposedly being used to help the UKR military drones destroy Russian tanks. So it says the UKR air reconnaissance specialist says his military has been operating drones specially fitted with thermal cameras that can detect the enemy's vehicles at night. The drones are equipped with anti-tank grenades that are launched at their target. It says if we use a drone with thermal vision at night, the drone must connect through Starlink to the artillery guy and create target acquisition, the UKR specialist told the Times of London. It says that Russ's invasion of UKR has resulted in widespread power outages, thus requiring anyone who wants to connect to the internet use Starlink. That also opens up windows if you did think anybody was involved, like maybe their company. That would be a good way to get your services used by every single person in a country, right? It says SpaceX sent a shipment of Starlink terminals to provide UKR with internet access. One thing that this opens them up for, though, is retaliation. So if you have a Tesla, or if you have, of course, any of their products, the Boring Company or whatever, that may affect. Could you, Dex, do you think that Teslas are hackable? Have they proved that they're hackable? What if?
Well, yeah, there's been hacks. I don't know that it was a global type of hack, but there was one report, and we covered it here, about a hack where they were able to get into multiple cars via a backdoor that they had. And it wasn't something that went to every single car, but it went to enough that they were able to do things like open doors, start the car. I don't know if they could remotely, call it to a location or not, which would cause it to actually drive. But they were certainly able to hack it. And, anything that's connected. And by the way, there's lots of, theories out there too, that go hand in hand with just other cars, most modern cars having enough electronics in it that they have the ability to be remotely hacked as well. I haven't validated that. So that's, like I said, that's one of the theories out there. But the technology certainly does exist. And a lot of the bills we've seen recently, they've talked about making sure that technology is available so that cars can be remotely turned off or pulled over or stopped by authorities, right? And that same technology that would do that is something that could be hacked, right?
So if you didn't catch what he said, we covered it probably last year. They were pushing in different bills, and the different government is asking that every vehicle by a certain date have this technology to be able to, I guess, what was their reasoning was for drunk drivers or for something. I think that was kind of the front for it is they could stop somebody from driving if they were committing a crime or if they were on a police chase or if it was a danger, then they could turn it off. What wasn't their main thing, though, was that it was something that they needed in there for drunk driving.
I think one of the things they were going to do was have the ability to determine if the person was inebriated and able to operate the vehicle. But the other one is that they wanted to be able to disable a moving vehicle for basically what you said, like a high-speed chase or something like that. They could remotely disable the vehicle and make it stop or pull off to the side of the road.
And nobody sees the problem with that. What if you have a corrupt government, which has happened 1,000 times over, and you are legitimately innocent of all charges, and you're trying to get away from, crazy people? I mean, how many times have we seen actual police that have been charged with heinous crimes and personal vendetta against people, where they end up doing all sorts of harm? So that as far as that goes, there's weird things in there. And if you could hack that, think about this though too. Like my cousin, when it first came out, when the Teslas first came out, my cousin ended up getting a settlement from this like lawsuit thing that he was involved in Australia. He ended up buying one of those Teslas, and I could not believe how heavy a Tesla was. Now, I don't know if they're still like this, but this was like one of the first models. But the battery and everything else, it was like 4 times the weight of a normal car its size. It was it was like 8,000 pounds or something. think about if you have a 150 mile per hour, 8,000 ton thing that's remote controlled and can target into something. I mean, you could go straight through buildings with that thing. The battery in itself is just so heavy and just, it's a rock solid thing. You know, they say that that's partly why they're very safe in one way, but at the same time, if somebody got control of that, that would be absolutely insane. And then puts EU on nuclear alert as bloc stockpiles iodine tablets and protective gear. So it says that the European Union has fast-tracked plans to increase its stockpile of iodine tablets and nuclear protective gear. The bloc is looking to boost its preparedness in the case of nuclear threats, particularly as the Bear forces target UKR nuclear plants. The EU Commission has encouraged member states to stockpile iodine pills, protective suits, and other medicine. The bloc is also looking for contingency plans to tackle a possible chemical and biological event. It says this comes after the U.S. warned that Putin may use such devastating in UKR. A commission spokesman said that the commission is working to ensure it enhances preparedness in the area of chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear generally, and this predates the conflict in Ukraine. They always say that, like, oh, don't worry, this is something that we already had in the works before. If you saw the DHS list, the Department of Homeland Security list of things that they wanted these small manufacturers to try to come up with, build, and get the designs to them by December 5th of 2021, that short list was rapidly deployable checkpoints, if you can think about what that could be used for, wearable radiation detectors. So say an Apple Watch with radiation detection on it. They had a 3,000-mile broadband walkie-talkies that could work without satellite or power. And Dex, I know I'm missing one. They had some sort of thing. Basically, everything had to do with some sort of chemical or nuclear event and society breaking down. They also had
the digital, like the microchips. They wanted to counterfeit.
Some sort of detector, a mobile detector for counterfeit electronics. Counterfeit microelectronics. So say like a little chip that you have to scan. So something that would tell if it was counterfeit or real. And by the way, if you have any other ideas what that device for detecting counterfeit chips would be used for other than that, let me know. And then that was the same page in that same request that they sent out to all these small manufacturers that make military equipment, that make government equipment, and make all this. They also asked for a mass fatality tracking system. Now, some people in the military say, well, we already have something like that. They wanted a newer, bigger, better one. And they wanted it by December 5th of 2021. Add all of those things together, and that was one that it paints a very clear picture. And it wasn't like there was 5,000 things on this list and this is just something down the road. They had like 8 things on the list, and every one of them pointed towards what they were preparing for. So think about that. We showed you that, and then now all of these little plays are being played out. It's like it's all right in front of us. What is possible? I mean, here's the thing. Think about what they did in the different drills they did before CV. Think about that. Now they're doing it for cyber events and for radiological events. So you think it's not going to happen? I wonder. By the way, thank you so much, Blue Dazzlebug. Thanks for the support. Simply Pony, Natasha French, Bones, and Tub Show. Your show is a light in the darkness. Everyone like, share, and support. Prayers and love, Marf, Dex, and fam. Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. And Mysteries Mystery School, thank you. Tony Simply, Stephen McMahon, Bible Talk 777. Jesus will be ruling Earth by 2029 after the evil are destroyed by the billions. And then thanks for all you do, Adam, Dex, and mods for the goods. Dex.
Hey, one more quick point. I want to call attention to the fact that this is not just the tablets. the KI tablets that everybody's talking about. It's also the gear. And if you recall, we talked about this a while back. We actually said this was going to happen. We even started to report when we saw the shortages happening. And now here it is in the press telling us, okay, now, oh yeah, we admit they're stockpiling. And this is the result. This is why everyone can't find the gear they're trying to find.
And it was in Europe.
This is why.
It was in Europe.
Yeah, it's the EU.
Do you have the previous show we talked about this?
I can find it.
So we'll connect you with this. This is why we follow the little tiny things. So I forgot about that. Good catch. So the previous show that we did that we covered this, it was, in fact, it wasn't even a piece. It was someone posted that the EU, it was that they were a business and they were trying to buy. They were a customer trying to buy this equipment, and they sent them a message saying, hey, you're a month out because we are now behind and we are out of stock because of the current events. And now it's all publicly available. It's like, you guys heard this on our show 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, because of those notices. And we found that through Foogle fan members. that was a like a invoice or something, basically saying that everything was a month behind. And then President B warns of evolving intelligence suggesting possible bear cyber attacks against the U.S. So we talked about this earlier, and essentially, going over it in his statements, he's going over exactly what we talked about, what the CISA was talking about, the Cyber Infrastructure Systems Agency, whatever CISA, I believe that's close to it, what they said months ago, and now it is being even further pushed in the public's eye that, hey, we are facing a huge cyber event, that there's a possible cyber event. If you remember, President B put out a list of absolute no-nos for the Ruskies or anybody else to hit. And one of those things got hit. And it was like, why is he even putting this list out? And this was before UKR and the whole thing that's going on now. This was prior to that. So what is actually happening right now? It says the B administration has been warning about the potential for malicious cyber activity against the United States by the Bear government, which President B said could be a response to the unprecedented economic costs we've imposed on alongside our allies and partners. It's part of their playbook. Today, my administration is reiterating those warnings based on evolving intelligence that the government is exploring options for potential cyber attacks. Now, remember, before this all went down, they told us, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. And because it was weeks later and it still didn't happen, nobody believed it. And then all of a sudden it did happen. So do you think that this is going to be a delayed thing where they told us, and then it does happen? Would they put this out unless there was some sort of known plan or possibly a Fantastic Freddy in the works right now? Think about banks. Think about, of course, critical infrastructure, power, gas. Think about that, especially with fuel and gas. When the Colonial Pipeline got hit, that was a big thing. Also, remember, everyone forgets about the SolarWinds hack. The SolarWinds hack actually hacked into all of our military branches. All five of our, of course, the Space Force, U.S. Army, Navy, everything. It hacked into all of those, including Space Force. And it hacked into all of the government's, everything. All of the corporations got information about almost every person on the planet. SolarWinds also accessed Black Start. Specifically, they went in and told us, and this was a tiny little piece that didn't get front page news. They told us that Black Start was accessed. If you watch my show, then you already know this, and you're like, oh, I heard that. Black Start is our plan if our entire grid goes down and what we would do. And I believe that plan even has, a contingency set up for like getting things back up and running in 9 to 18 months. Now imagine if it's 9 months, best case scenario, getting our entire grid back up after it's fried. Think about if the enemy has the entire plan and can shut down every step of the way because they know what we're going to do after it happens. Black Start was that program. And that was specifically accessed out of all of the things in the SolarWinds hack. That one really stuck out because they had to specifically dig and go through all of these subsets and all of these subpatterns to go in there and actually access it. That's why we've warned you, and whether we're here or not, that's why we say if the stuff goes out, we take this seriously. Derek McLovin says, looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue. Well, the wrong year, really. Stormy Sky 08. Yeah, 2022. We don't even get into half the stuff that's really weird. Like me and Dex were talking about how the date that the UKR conflict started all adds up to 68. As you guys may have seen this meme of
84.
80. No, I think it's 68. It's 68.
Okay.
Every one of them adds up. So like the first date of WW1, WW2, and WW3 all equals 68, which is pretty freaking weird. You just take the actual date that it started and you add those and it's all 68. That kind of stuff is more other channel stuff. Yeah. Was it 84?
No, it's 68. You're right. I was just going to say that I actually went to the trouble of validating the start of all those dates and obviously validating the math, which isn't hard to do. But yeah, they all three lined up when you and I were talking about that, which is kind of just a weird, I guess, coincidence, or I guess other channels can talk about the numerology part of that, but it absolutely is, specific. When one started, when two started, and then when the day of the Ukraine invasion, and you take the day of the month, the 100th of the year, plus the last two digits of the year.
Can we get that picture? And I could probably pull it up. We can also
I'll give
attach
it to you in just a minute. Hang on.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Once we show you this, you'll be like, okay, so, that's more a stretch, right? But when you look at it, you're like, this is weird. I'm sorry. It's just like, how many signs do we need from the heavens to know that we're closing in on time to go home, right? And then Apple services, including Maps, App Store, everything from Apple went down a global outage. This is another company that has it set up so where it should be localized. It should not be happening worldwide. Now, Apple isn't a ginormous deal to most of us, right? Especially if you're a Samsung user, but if you are an Apple user, it is a huge deal because most Apple users, they have everything Apple. So their computers, their watches, their phones, their work systems, all of their work is done on Apples. If you are into video or if you're into computer, into design and in art or anything, all of your work is done through an Apple. If you do stuff on iPad, all of that stuff. Imagine all of the people that used Apples for work, which a lot of these new age companies, they'll only use Apple because they believe there's less viruses, there's less hacking, there's less everything. This all went down. Just like when YouTube went down globally, people were questioning like that must be done on their side because there's no way that it affected all of their servers across the planet. In this case, same thing. All of these different servers have different kind of roadblocks, and they got the whole thing globally. It affected their business management, their iCloud, people's pictures. Think about how many people's pictures are on iCloud if they did want to get information about somebody. Also, remember that the Dragon over there in the East just got access to our Trojan Horse application, right? They say that they found NSA's Trojan Horse application that can basically get into any computer, control it, access it, anything else. Dex, am I wrong? By the way, it is the Trojan Horse that did come from NSA.
That's the generic description. I can't remember the name of it, but yes, it's basically the backdoor that the NSA uses to do their bidding, so to speak.
I believe it. Well, I remember making fun of it because it was called Trojan Horse. Maybe that was the nickname for it. But I was thinking, like, is that a bad translation or what? but they accessed that. So all of Apple went down. Did you experience this? Let us know in the comments down below. Love to hear from you. Did this affect your work? Do you have this at your office? And did you have to stop working because of it? Let me know. Simply Pony, thank you for the support. Derek McLovin, again, thank you. Thanks for all you do, Adam, Dex, and Mods. And then Bible Talk 777, thank you again. Tony, nice to see you here almost every night. Again, next call-in show, say hi again. And then we have Cyber Gets Real for satellite operators. We talked about this on our earlier show over on Marfoogle News, which, again, that is something that you can actually share out. It says, given the current situation, the cybersecurity and infrastructure security agents request that all organizations significantly lower their threshold for reporting and sharing indications of malicious cyber activity, said CISA, an organization with the Department of Homeland Security. Following CISA's advisory, the Satellite Industry Association on March 18th issued a statement of commitment to cybersecurity best practices and expressed concern about evolving attacks by criminals or nation states. So one thing this puts out there, it says the February's cyber attack on the Viasat's network, first reported by Reuters, is being investigated by French, U.S., and UKR intelligence services as a potential act by the Bear hackers. It says Viasat in a statement last week said that the company believes that, quote, this was a deliberate, isolated, and external cyber event. And customer data was not compromised because the attacks directly targeted modems. The company is providing some customers over-the-air updates and replacing other customer modems. Our commercial network is very well secured, and we've learned a lot of lessons over the last few weeks. So this looks like a practice running, but remember, what they said is that they are lowering the amount, and this could go both ways. Actually, I didn't think about this, Dex. They could be lowering the bar of what they report, so then there are more reports and it looks like there's more happening, or they're lowering that bar because they want to catch it early and there's something massive happening, or make it look like there's something bigger happening that's not really as big as we think. It's just that there's now 10 times the reports because they lowered the bar and the sensitivity to what is happening to satellites, networks, as far as hacking. Dex, what do you think as far as you're a techie? What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I think, what we're seeing is an obvious increase in events, and we're going to continue to see it. We've talked about them for years, right? A little here, a little there. And we always sort of said maybe they're trial runs, maybe they're practice runs. And of course, they're all just set off as, oh, don't worry about it. It's just some actor. It's not necessarily the state of whichever country they're pointing the finger at for any given event. But at the same time, those quote unquote actors are, since they're not state sponsored, they probably are. They're just, no different than in our own country, thinking that there's all these corporations or hidden groups that are created by our 3-letter agency, right? They hide all that stuff all the time. So that the point is that while we have seen a lot of this in the past and we've sort of written it off as, this group or that group or this group or that group, but, maybe not knowing that it was really coming from a nation state, we're going to see now that the nation states that are, for example, ones who are in conflict right now are going to actually have these events happen. And it may or may not come from one of those groups, or it may come directly from the opposing nation, right?
Very well could go exactly like that. I'm actually, thank you for putting that in the back end. It says WW1 started on the 28th of July, 1914, and you add that up equals 68. So wait a second. Was that reversed to fit that in? Or does it matter?
Because it's addition, so it doesn't matter the order. But it's written because that order is international date code as opposed to U.S. date code. We're used to putting the month first, the day second. The rest of the world puts
either way,
the day first, the month second.
It doesn't matter because if you switch them,
it's addition.
It's addition. So on the 1st of September 1st, 1939, That equals 68. And, of course, the first day where they said that the invasion of UKR started was 24/2/2022. Huh. 68 on all three of them. Isn't that's just freaky? I'm not super big into the numerical stuff. I know people that believe by it. Some of the stuff that I see numerically, I'm like, okay, that's a stretch because you're just adding in a random thing. But again, I have there are people that I really like that are really into it. If you guys haven't found Donut yet, he does some pretty crazy stuff with it. Really, really cool guy. And then, but yeah, as far as that goes, that's just too weird. It's like, if there were ever an argument that there is some sort of divine power up there, I think that's one of them. Maripol residents deported to as UKR city handed ultimatum. We don't know what's really happening here. There are two different sides. There is stuff coming out that you can still access on Rumble from, of course, the country that's been banned worldwide. So it's like, it says that the bear has been accused of forcibly taking and deporting thousands of citizens of Maripol as fears that captives are being shipped to forced camps. Do you see what they are doing? They are actually trying to, in your mind, they're basically saying that these guys are doing the same thing that Adolf did in WW2. Dex, do you see it that way, or am I missing something?
Well, yeah, it certainly looks that way. And this is, on one hand, you've got one side of the story saying one side is doing this, and on the other hand, on the other side of the story, they're saying they're there to prevent the people that had names that did this in the past, right? So, the Ganda is flying. Not saying that this is or is not. It's what's being reported. So we're here to talk about it, right?
Yeah. One thing to point out is when we're talking about, people get offended that we cover mainstream news. Mainstream news is extremely important. If you do not look at the messaging they're putting out, say if there's such a thing as subliminal messaging, how are you going to know what the subliminal messages of something are unless you talk about it? So when you have something, how we take this and put it in front of 5,000 people that are all open-minded and conversating about this, everybody's throwing out ideas, and then the ideas that stick, that make sense, everybody's going to resonate with. The ideas that don't. I feel like part of our purpose here is that when people watch this, they can go down to that chat. They can look at what everyone is saying. They can see what the general populace actually thinks compared to what is being said. On top of that, when we help other channels get up and running, that is something that really does make a huge impact as far as if people want to go down that road and do that kind of stuff, they can. We give you the ability to do so. But as far as this home base, I want to keep this as safe as possible so we can keep growing and our reach keep growing. So make sure to share this out. Share it out with as many people as you know. And then before we move on, I want to remind you, if you do not have a generator system or a backup, I would highly recommend going solar because solar is silent. This is one of the biggest pros. There are pros and cons to gas and solar. Solar being, if you don't have sun, you don't have power. But the great part about today's solar systems is they keep a charge. So say if you have more batteries than what you need, you can actually, essentially, when you do get it all fully charged up, if you have enough batteries, you can go a whole day or 2 days between, sun, and then you'll have your power backed up. Now, the Flex 1500 by Energy is one of the most popular ones in the planet. There's a waiting list to even get one right now. So you definitely want to get on that list and get yours as soon as possible. They ship it out in order of orders. So again, this is one of the most impressive and incredible modular generators out there. This is what is powering my entire show. All of my power bars, my 2 power bars, all of my lights, and all of my music gear, everything here you see behind me is all powered by energy. You can't hear it. I can't even run a desk fan without it blowing up my mic. But the solar generator is silent. That is why this thing is amazing. No desperate people down the street are going to hear that you have a generator going. Not to mention, you can actually run this inside. If you run a gas-powered generator inside, you're not going to be around tomorrow. You're not going to wake up. So that's a big thing. And then desperate, when an SHTF does happen, people are going to be listening for generators. That's one of the biggest things. If you're out in the country, then a gas-powered generator is going to be great. But also think about this. How much gas can you possibly store? And then if everything hits the fan, are you going to be able to attain gas? With the prices that gas is now, I see why solar is going up and up and up. The reason why we started this is because they actually work with EMP Shield. They make an in and out to go. This is completely modular. You can add up to 96 batteries to a wall of batteries on this, so you could power whatever size house off of one Flex 1500. But they also make an in and an out from EMP Shield, so you can get this protected by EMP Shield and have a fully working system to actually back up your house or your van life situation or whatever situation you need it for. On top of that, if you just want one battery and one, like I do, you can actually take this camping. You can take it with you. It is small, and comparably, this thing charges faster than any one its size. So again, go out, marfooglenews.com/energy. There's a waiting list. So if you want one of these, you got to act quick. All right. And then that is, again, marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/energy. They also have portable solar panels that fold up and have a carry handle. They're absolutely just some of the most bad mofos of solar generators out there. Geraldine Mitchell, thank you for subscribing. And then Dex, I'm going to have you talk about the ruthless ex-KGB spy tipped by spooks to take over if is toppled by the Kremlin.
Well, thank you, Adam. So apparently Alexander Bortnikov is allegedly the person who will take over if he is ousted. And that's a big if. There's been a lot of rumors going around that there's people that are unhappy with him, from oligarchs to other leaderships in their government. Of course, we don't know how true that is. We only know what's being, either A, rumored, or B, reported in the media, which can also, be a form of propaganda as well. But that is part of the conversation that's been happening out there. Is there's this potential dissent or people that are not favorable towards him that are potentially willing to do something about it. And if they actually do something, the word is that this is the person that's going to take over. I don't know that this actually makes it any better. I don't know much about the person, but it does certainly sound like they're pretty, of the same vein, so to speak, as the current leadership in the Bear Country.
Well, this kind of adds to the few that think, Vladimir, he was part of the WEF's, young leaders group, right? So a lot of people think, oh, he's in on a lot of this stuff, that he was part of it. What if he's being booted out? What if he is being replaced? Like, they're like, okay, we're done with you. You didn't want to go along with us, or you've been there too long, or they did something in the background, or they weren't happy with the last 3 years of what happened there. Just wonder if they're like, oh, okay, well, we found your replacement who has the same, same background, right? If there's any truth to this whatsoever. It says Alexander Bortnikov, who has fallen out of favor with the Moscow despot over heirs in the UKR, is said to be plotting to topple the Russian prez. An ex-KGB agent accused of having a hand in the perishment of a spy on British soil has been tipped to succeed Vlad if he is toppled. So again, we don't know if this is true. Everything out there needs to be questioned. So if you have theories about this, put it in the chat below. Do you think it is correct? Do you think that this is part of something that you've already figured out? If you have more pieces to this puzzle, let us know. And then, by the way, thank you everybody for sticking with me for this long. Thank you everybody that's been here for 4 years. Understandably, most of you guys watch every night. There's that number there almost every night. So I do appreciate you, everybody. I just want to make a small announcement, and just please keep it positive. I understand that we have a good amount of people popping in and out. Whenever there is negativity that comes in from somebody who is brand new to us, make sure to respond in positivity, because the thing is once you call people names or once you go to the negative side, then there is no coming back from that. People put up their defensive walls and they go negative. I also, don't support responding to negative with negative. So if you do that, that is not encouraged by me. And again, I don't want that in my circle. So again, please don't do that. It's about, basically, I don't want to be a hypocrite either. So I have approved of it at points when it's in defense of us, and because I'm a human. And I learned years ago that is not right either. We're all growing up. I was 31 when I started this, 30. And that was after, I think I only had like 5 years away from, drinking and partying in my 20s. And once you stop, I don't know if any of you have gone through this, but if you've been in your early 20s, you turn 21, you start drinking and partying, it fries your brain. And once you get away from that for an amount of years, you realize what is stupid and what is not stupid. And I have realized that it's just a never-ending circle of drama, and we can all point fingers, but none of us are perfect. None of us are at all 100% in the brain. We're all have issues. We all have just horrible things going on in life right now. So we all need to understand each other. But at some point too, you definitely just need to respond with positivity, not with negativity. And that's something that we have been trying to get better at. We're not perfect at yet, but that includes everybody in my circle. I hope you guys are keeping it positive and not doing negative stuff too. As far as chat goes, when somebody comes in, if they're like, "Oh, this sucks," say, "Hey, what's going on with you? How's your life going? How did your day at work go?" If you respond like that, it just catches them off guard, and they're like, "Wait, but I'm being a total asshole." Respond in positive. I'm telling you, this can grow to just a huge positive movement forward. Lately, it's gone backwards. I know that for a fact that there have been some negative things happening from another thing that's going on, and it's not the one that thinks that I'm talking about them. But again, anybody who is bringing negative attention to us, make sure to bring positive attention back. And, again, that is something that I find is really important, and we need to keep it positive and be forgiving and try to be the best people we can with our flaws, with everything that's going wrong. Just realize that, people make mistakes. So I make mistakes, you make mistakes, we all make mistakes. We all scream for ice cream. Dex, do you want to go over all of the web only, which is a lot?
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot here. So a lot of things happening over the weekend, a lot of things from Friday till today. If you go to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for the show, or you open that description in YouTube and click that first link that says show notes, you'll be taken to this page, and all you have to do is scroll down to that yellow bar that says web only content. You'll get everything else that we weren't able to cover. Lots of things happening here. Either it's too hot for TV, it's maybe it's too much Ganda on one side or another, maybe it's too political. It's here. Again, I mentioned that video. Sometimes there's videos here we can't play. That video of the hypersonic is there. How about this? A country that is being reveled for its democracy suspends 11 parties in its political system, basically eliminating them all. Go figure out which country did that. It doesn't sound like democracy to me, but lots of other things happening, a lot of political stuff. The doctor, everyone's favorite doctor who thought he was leaving, is not necessarily, but you can get both sides of that story and why he said one thing and then said another. Plenty of other news going on from, get this, the Meta has now been considered a tea organization in the Bear Country. Go find out the full story on that as well. So I tell you, there is a ton of extra news over there in web only content. So go take a look. And while you're there at the very bottom, again, as Adam said, the EMP Shield Contest, we're on the final days. And I know we talk about this at the end of the show, so some of you guys don't miss it, but make sure to share it with your friends and family. And the link is in the description as well. So if you haven't had a chance to enter that contest, you better, because the odds are really good right now for you to get in. So you got 3 days left, so you can enter today and every day between now and the time they give it away. So
I think
MarfoogleNews.com. Yeah, go ahead.
I just think people that they don't think they can ever win something, and then they just don't try. When there's something like this, it's kind of like doing a raffle and everybody thinks the same thing, and then all of a sudden you only have 10 people. Your chance goes up extremely. So,
right. I would get in. Definitely get in on this. It's not that hard to do. It's free. It costs you nothing, and you got a chance to win. And if you win, you get to pick the device you want to protect. So. But again, everything, it's right there. If you're on YouTube, just open that description. It's the first link. It's called show notes. It'll take you right here to all of this information.
And make sure to check out the other channels mentioned here. They are all in this as well. And again, lower turnout, so you have a better chance of winning. Okay, and then thank you everybody that has popped in today. Big shout out and a big thank you to everybody that has been here for a very long time. Haven't seen Veteran Steve or EOD Vet in a while. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. Thank you. Hashtag Team Humanity. Susan Donahue, thank you so much. Thank you to mods, Jay Stone. Thank you everybody that's down there modding and working your butts off. Chance over on D Live. Of course, Lisa, thank you so much. And then make sure to thank a mod and understand that they have to spend the whole show basically doing their duty. So thank them. They have been a part of this as well since day one. Most all of them have been with me for over 3 years. They are personal friends at this point. So again, make sure to go check that out. And then thank everybody that has come in. As they come in, welcome new people. And thank you, everybody. Much love. And then we might have some guests in the near future. Just talked with some people that haven't been around for a while. We need to push up everybody, positivity. We need to get over the speed bumps and just keep moving forward. All right, love you guys. Much love. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Like a proper propaganda. No one likes a proper propaganda. I don't like a proper propaganda. You don't like a proper propaganda. We don't like a proper propaganda. No one likes a proper propaganda. like a proper propaganda. You don't like a proper propaganda. We don't like a proper propaganda. No one likes a proper propaganda. I don't like a proper propaganda. You don't like a proper propaganda. We don't like a proper propaganda. No one likes a proper propaganda. Without speculation, you don't know what's going on. Trinity, red pill, a blue pill, hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here, nice to see you here. Juan C. Gonzalez and Toss Dare, thanks for all being here. Put a boat in your front yard if you live over. Actually, there are people that are doing that, by the way. Over in Ocean Shores, there are people that have literally put boats outside their businesses, and that is their escape plan. They are also going to kiss their own behinds goodbye. That is the other escape plan for Ocean Shores when the tsunami hits. Like a proper propaganda. You don't like a proper propaganda. We don't like a proper propaganda. No one likes a proper propaganda. Hate the world, but I always knew that I would be there. Be there for you. All right, let's do a new one.
Day.